Did you ever look at two famous faces and wonder, could they be related? You've probably thought this before, but what if I told you that many of the stars you know and love are actually siblings? Imagine your favorite actors in a whole new light, knowing that they share a bloodline, not just a spotlight. From Oscar winners to childhood TV stars, this list is full of jaw-dropping revelations that will make you say, "No way, I had no idea." Buckle up, because these Hollywood sibling pairs are going to surprise you. Let's kick it off with Ben and Fred Savage. Before Corey Matthews ever took over your childhood TV screen, there was Kevin Arnold in The Wonder Years. Yes, these two characters, who became iconic for their coming-of-age shows, were actually real brothers in real life. Fred, the older Savage, was already a TV star, grabbing Emmy nominations as the adorable Kevin, navigating life in the 60s and 70s. But Fred wasn't just an actor. He went on to become a powerhouse behind the camera, directing shows like Modern Family and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Ben, on the other hand, became a household name as Corey Matthews in Boy Meets World, a role that resonated with an entirely different generation. While Fred built his legacy as a director, Ben stayed in front of the camera, giving us a different flavor of TV nostalgia. Two brothers, two wildly different paths, but both masters of their craft. Do you remember tuning in to The Wonder Years or Boy Meets World? Tell us which brother shaped your childhood in the comments. Here's one that might have slipped under your radar. Remember the adorable twins Nikki and Alex from Full House? If you're like most fans, you probably didn't know that the actors behind them, Blake and Dylan Twomey Wilhoy, are real-life twins. Born in 1990, they joined the cast in the 6th season and quickly won hearts with their cuteness. But what's truly fascinating is what they've done since Full House wrapped up in 1995. Blake, choosing a path far from Hollywood, became a firefighter with the Los Angeles Fire Department, a true hero in every sense of the word. His twin, Dylan, went in an entirely different direction, building a career in sound design. He's even earned an Emmy nomination for his work on Game of Thrones. These two brothers went from being adorable TV stars to carving out incredible careers in very different fields. Now that's a plot twist. Next, let's talk about another pair of brothers who went from child stars to Hollywood royalty. Ben and Casey Affleck. Born just 3 years apart in Berkeley, California, these brothers took completely separate paths to success, yet both ended up with an Academy Award. Ben, the older of the two, made his mark early in Hollywood. At just 25, he co-wrote Good Will Hunting, earning an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay alongside his childhood friend, Matt Damon. He went on to direct Gone Baby Gone and Argo, and let's not forget his iconic role as Batman. Meanwhile, Casey took a more understated route. Known for his quietly powerful performances, Casey earned his first Oscar nomination for The Assassination of Jesse James, and later won the Best Actor Oscar for his gut-wrenching performance in Manchester by the Sea. They've occasionally worked together, but each has a legacy of his own, showing how two brothers can both shine in their own light. Bill, Brian, and Joel Murray. What a family. Three brothers who carved their paths in comedy, each in their own way. Bill Murray is the household name, no question. From Ghostbusters to Groundhog Day, Bill's comedic genius has earned him a permanent place in Hollywood history. But did you know his brothers were in the game too? Brian Doyle Murray, the oldest, may not have been a major movie star, but his voice is legendary. He's appeared in classics like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and Wayne's World. And Joel? He's built a solid career on TV, starring in Dharma and Greg, and lending his voice to Monsters University. Though they never starred in a project together, the Murray brothers have had a massive influence on American comedy. Their work on screen and off has shaped the landscape of comedy we know today. Ever heard of Kiefer Sutherland and his lesser-known half-brother Angus? While Kiefer became a global icon for his role as Jack Bauer in 24, Few people know that his half-brother Angus has had his own quiet career in Hollywood. Kiefer's career skyrocketed in the 80s and 90s, with roles in films like Stand By Me and The Lost Boys. But Angus, born a decade later, took a different route. He didn't seek the same level of fame, but made his mark as both an actor and a producer. Angus starred in Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay and Lost Boys, The Tribe, but his most recent focus has been in production, where he's worked on major films like 1917 and City of Lies. Despite his low profile, Angus is making an impact, proving that sometimes the most talented voices work behind the scenes. And then there's the Baldwin brothers, Alec, Daniel, William, and Stephen, each one of them with a distinct career, yet all with the same family name. Alec is the most famous, of course, known for his Emmy-winning role on 30 Rock and his unforgettable turn as Jack Donaghy. But his brothers have had their own share of fame. Daniel, the second oldest, built a solid career in TV with shows like Homicide, Life on the Street, while William became a 90s heartthrob, starring in films like Flatliners and Backdraft. Stephen, the youngest, might not be as high profile as his brothers, but he's built a career in Christian films and conservative media. Though their careers took different paths, the Baldwin brothers have each made a unique mark on Hollywood. And finally, Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, brothers who, despite their different last names, are undeniably related. Sons of legendary actor Martin Sheen, these two have had vastly different careers. While Charlie became infamous for his wild antics and his role in 2.5 Men, Emilio carved a different path, finding success in films like The Breakfast Club and Stakeout. Their contrasting careers have only added to the intrigue of their sibling relationship, showing how two brothers can grow in completely different directions while still sharing that Hollywood DNA. Few realize just how deep the roots ran between Elio and Charlie, especially when one chose to keep the family name while the other stepped into the spotlight with a flashier moniker. But that surface-level distinction barely scratches the surface of their connection. Elio Estes, born on May 12, 1962, quietly carved his path during the explosive Brat Pack era of the 80s, capturing hearts in The Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, and The Outsiders. His fame wasn't fueled by scandal or spotlight, but by storytelling, culminating in his directorial gem, The Way, a poignant father-son journey that was as much about healing as it was about artistry. Meanwhile, Charlie Sheen, born September 3, 1965, burned hotter and faster, his career bursting into public view with critically acclaimed roles in Platoon, Wall Street, and the iconic Major League. By the time he hit his stride in 2.5 Men, he wasn't just a household name. He was earning nearly $2 million an episode, the highest-paid TV actor of his time. Now shift your attention to Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, whose story reads like a fairy tale laced with meticulous reinvention. Cast as Michelle Tanner on Full House before they could even walk, these twins, born June 13, 1986, grew up on our screens, icons of the 90s, shaping a generation's idea of style, sisterhood, and success. By age 6, they weren't just actors. They were CEOs, launching Dual Star Entertainment, a company that would birth countless films like Passport to Paris and Billboard Dad. Their faces adorned toys, books, and lunchboxes across America. And then, when it felt like the world knew them too well, they vanished. But their disappearance was their greatest masterstroke. Rather than fade into irrelevance, they shifted focus, emerging as titans in high fashion. Their label The Row became a staple of minimalist elegance, earning critical acclaim and CFDA awards. They transformed from child stars into fashion's elite, doing what so few have done, escaping the shadow of early fame to define themselves on their own terms. Their silence became their statement, their absence a powerful form of presence. In a parallel but quieter lane were Rob and Chad Lowe, whose Ohio roots and Brat Pack beginnings laid the foundation for careers built not just on looks, but resilience. Rob Lowe, born March 17, 1964, captured teen hearts in The Outsiders and St. Elmo's Fire. But when fame faltered, he adapted, finding renewed purpose in television. From The West Wing to Parks and Recreation, Rob's wit and warmth made him more than just a comeback kid. He became a television staple. And just when fans thought they'd seen his best, 911. Lone Star added another compelling chapter. Chad Lowe, born January 15, 1968, didn't ride the same wave of celebrity, but his contributions ran deep. His Emmy-winning role in Life Goes On offered one of the first mainstream portrayals of a young man living with HIV, changing how television tackled tough topics. From Melrose Place to Pretty Little Liars, Chad's characters often operated in the background, but his influence was undeniable. Behind the camera, he thrived as a director, crafting episodes for major dramas like SVU and Bones, mirroring his brother's evolution into producing and directing. And then came the Hemsworths, three brothers from Melbourne who didn't just enter Hollywood, they took it by storm. Chris, born August 11, 1983, towered into the spotlight as Thor, his hammer becoming a symbol of his unstoppable rise. His performances blended strength with sensitivity, helping redefine the modern action hero. Liam, the baby of the trio, born January 13, 1990, brought a quieter intensity to roles like Gale in The Hunger Games and romantic leads that balanced his brother's larger-than-life persona. Meanwhile, Luke, born November 5, 1980, laid the groundwork, making waves in Australian TV before achieving global recognition in Westworld. What's most impressive isn't their collective fame. It's how intentionally separate their paths have been. No joint movies, no leveraging of sibling status. Just three brothers, each earning their spotlight on their own terms. That same sense of individual identity defines the Bridges brothers. Beau and Jeff didn't merely carry on the legacy of their actor parents, they elevated it. Beau, born December 9, 1941, brought a soulful touch to over 100 roles, his adaptability winning him Emmys and Golden Globes in a career that spanned everything from sci-fi to prestige drama. Jeff, born December 4, 1949, became cinematic royalty. His roles in The Last Picture Show, The Big Lebowski, and Crazy Heart showcasing a depth and vulnerability rarely matched. Together in The Fabulous Baker Boys, their real-life bond lent gravity to their fictional dynamic, a moment where truth and performance became inseparable. Then there are the Ashmore twins, Sean and Aaron, Canadian brothers who've long baffled audiences with their near-identical looks and completely distinct careers. Sean, known for playing Iceman in X-Men, carved out a niche in superhero lore, later exploring edgier territory in The Following and The Boys. Aaron, meanwhile, found a home in genre television, his roles in Smallville, Warehouse 13, and Killjoys marking him as a dependable and dynamic presence. Though their resemblance often caused confusion, their deliberate decision to not act together underscored a mutual respect for their separate journeys. And finally, the magnetic Skarsgård brothers, Alexander, Bill, and Gustav, Scandinavia's cinematic gift to the world. Alexander, born August 25, 1976, seduced global audiences as the enigmatic Eric Northman in True Blood, before stunning critics with a chilling performance in Big Little Lies, sweeping major awards. Bill, with his haunting portrayal of Pennywise in it, turned horror into high art. Gustav added his unique edge to shows like Vikings and Westworld, giving the trio a range few families can boast. Their legacy is one of brooding intellect, artistic risk, and global appeal. When River Phoenix died outside the Viper Room at just 23, it wasn't just a tragic ending. It was a fracture in Hollywood's soul. His younger brother Joaquin, only 19 at the time, could have been consumed by grief. Instead, he he turned pain into purpose. Joaquin Phoenix, known for his unflinching portrayals and intense method acting, slowly rose from the shadows. From Gladiator to Walk the Line to the mind-bending Joker, he's redefined the modern anti-hero. But Sean Penn and his late brother Chris tell another tale of artistic contrast. Sean's explosive performances, his Oscar wins, and his boundary-pushing roles have kept him at the forefront of American cinema. His directorial work, like Into the Wild, showcases a moral depth that few actors-turned-directors achieve. Chris Penn, meanwhile, was the gritty underdog, praised by Quentin Tarantino, beloved for roles in Reservoir Dogs and The Funeral, yet often overlooked. His sudden passing at just 40 was a reminder that talent alone isn't always enough in an industry driven by image and excess. When David Cassidy soared to teen idol status with the Partridge Family, his fame was blinding. But underneath the screaming fans and chart-topping hits was a man struggling with identity, addiction, and financial ruin. His half-brother Sean Cassidy took a different route, transitioning from music to a powerhouse career behind the camera. His work as a television producer on shows like New Amsterdam proves that reinvention is possible, even in the shadows of a fading spotlight. Patrick Cassidy, with his Broadway roots and television appearances, added yet another layer to the family's artistic tapestry. What unites them is not just talent, but their resilience in a business that's as brutal as it is glamorous. The Wilson brothers, Owen and Luke, share a quieter story, one that feels almost poetic. Owen, with his offbeat charisma and screenwriting chops, became a household name with roles in Wedding Crashers, Zoolander, and Cars. His voice, both literally and artistically, has become synonymous with laid-back charm. Luke, more understated, brought sincerity and soul to roles in Legally Blonde and The Skeleton Twins. Their careers rarely intersect, but when they do, like in Bottle Rocket, the result is cinematic chemistry that feels unforced and undeniably authentic. James and Dave Franco, though separated by years and genres, offer a compelling snapshot of generational Hollywood. James, with his Oscar nod for 127 Hours and eclectic mix of art films and comedies, has always been the experimental outlier. Dave, emerging later, brought a lighter touch with hits like Now You See Me and Neighbors, later stepping behind the camera with The Rental. Their collaboration in The Disaster Artist was a brief but brilliant merging of energies, hinting at what could have been a more frequent creative partnership. And then there's Donnie and Mark Wahlberg, a duo that embodies transformation. Donnie's journey from boy band fame with New Kids on the Block to steady TV success on Blue Bloods shows longevity. Mark, once the brash frontman of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, reinvented himself as an A-list actor and producer. With hits like The Fighter, Lone Survivor, and Transformers, he's not only conquered the box office, but also built a business empire through Wahlburgers, a clothing line, and major endorsements. When it comes to luxury and financial mastery, few can match Mark Wahlberg. With an estimated net worth in the hundreds of millions, Mark has made savvy real estate investments, owning properties in Beverly Hills and Las Vegas. His car collection includes Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, and custom-built Escalades. He sports high-end watches like Patek Philippe and Rolex, and once owned a Bombardier Global Express private jet. His business interests include ownership stakes in F45 Fitness, Aqua Hydrate, and his production company, Unrealistic Ideas. He reportedly carries extensive insurance covering his productions, physical well-being, and assets, ensuring financial security across every venture. The lesson from Mark's financial playbook is clear. Diversify early, invest in what you believe in, and protect your brand like it's your most prized possession. From triumphs to heartbreaks, from red carpets to private pain, these celebrity siblings reflect the highs and lows of living under the world's spotlight. Behind every polished smile or award-winning performance lies a deeper story. A story of rivalry and reverence, of loss and legacy. What stays with us are not just the roles they played, but the paths they walked together and apart. And in a city built on dreams, their stories remind us that the greatest legacies are the ones forged not by fame alone, but by the strength to endure, to transform, and to honor those who came before. From wild fame to private pain, Jackie Gleason's story proves legends never fade. Smash that like, drop a comment, and subscribe, because the great one's legacy still has punchlines left.